Hey guys,
Hey,
how's
Hi.
it going?
Good.
good.
I always, every single one of these videos I've done, I hit record and then I say hello to the people that I've already said hello to, and then I laugh awkwardly. So this is probably the sixth time that I've done this. So I need to get into the habit of being more professional about it. But
Well, I
No,
don't know about you, but go ahead, Esther.
just
Sorry.
pull out all the awkward laughs and splice them together.
yeah,
Hello, haha, hello.
it's actually not a bad idea. I like that.
I
Okay,
haven't gotten used to Zoom. I know I've been doing it. I'm still not used to it.
really?
I mean, it's fine, but it's just it's not it's not the same as the real thing, like seeing people in person. So
Well, that's because you're a hugger.
I am.
Yeah, me too.
I know, Esther, you are too. I
Yeah,
feel
we're
like
gonna break this habit now. No
No,
touch.
I blame Laura because, in the last 7 years that I've known you, I've slowly migrated to being more of a hugger. It might be because I had kids, but
it's
I
true. I have forced you to hug me for 7 years now straight, probably.
I know
Every time I see you, I force you to.
it's traumatic. I mean, the counseling bills are piling up. I don't know what to do with myself. No.
You know what though? Might come as a surprise to you, but you are a really good hugger back. So it just comes naturally.
I learned from the best. What can I tell you? So, obviously, to those people who don't know us, they have just gotten the notion that we've all known each other for a very long time. And, it's been quite the ride. Esther and I met a long time ago. I met Esther before I even met you, Laura,
Yeah.
because of our photography. And then we collectively have all known each other through Pattern for quite a few years. And so it's been really incredible and an honor for me to collaborate with both of you guys and watch you really develop your craft and just do amazing work in photography and styling. And so it's really exciting for me to talk with both of you about this photo shoot that you did for our last issue that just came out. And kind of just get a sense of your creative process and what all is entailed in putting that together, and not just the shoot that's in the magazine, but just in general, how you guys work and what are some of the maybe tips or ideas that you could share with folks watching, because I think that I know when you're on the inside, it feels like, another pattern shoot or just another fashion shoot if you've done a lot of them. But to folks from the outside looking in who are wanting to be published, you two are very, very accomplished, and people aspire to be doing the kinds of things that you're doing because you guys are so creative and talented. And so it's always good to maybe share a little bit of your know-how with the greater creative community, if you will. So first thing that I ask people to do with these Zooms that I've been doing is just sort of introduce themselves and talk a little bit about your background, how you got into what you're doing, and kind of where you're at right now, what's happening. So let's start with Esther.
All right. Well, I'm Esther Boston. I have my own photography business, and I focus on commercial portraiture and fashion photography. Hence why we're doing this interview. And I got started with all of this. I really got interested in photography when I was 13. And then once college came around, I was like, well, what the hell am I going to do? Oh, I like photography. Let's try that. Mm-hmm. So kind of got into it, and then eventually needed to find someone that was doing fashion photography and portraiture like what I wanted to do. So I ran into Polina, and here we are. And 12 years later.
God.
Yeah. I'm still doing headshots and fashion. And it's going well.
Yes, it is. It's going really well. Congrats. You've come a long way, baby.
Yeah.
Okay, well, what about you, Laura? You have a very, and there's actually what I hadn't thought of, but you reminded me, which I'm just losing my mind clearly, but you're actually featured in the magazine as well as your work.
Yeah.
There's a profile about you and your incredible style.
And thank
You are outside the box thinker as far as how people should dress. I love, love, love how you express yourself through clothing. Anytime I see you, I'm always thinking to myself, how do I keep up with this woman? I mean, really, in terms of clothing, right? Like, I should be dressing more like you to like actually fit into the role of editor-in-chief of a fashion publication way better, but you know,
well,
I can't do it.
That's very sweet of you to say that. I certainly, you're saying all these nice things about me, and I'm literally just wearing a denim shirt for this interview, so I probably should have upped my game a bit. But no, thank you so much for the feature in the magazine. It's beautifully shot by Esther, and Terry did such a lovely job with the interview. And I just am always so proud to be involved with pattern in any way I can. So thank you for that. It's such a beautiful issue. Everybody in it and everybody who made it should be so proud. Yeah, I have always loved fashion. I think both of you know, because you've known me for a long time, I love Cyndi Lauper. She was my first fashion icon when I was like 6, probably. So I really attribute all of my love of fashion to her. But
I don't know if I knew that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Esther's shaking her head no too.
Are you serious?
Either.
Yeah. Huh. Well, that explains a lot.
I fell in love with her when I was like 5 or 6. And at the time, I didn't really know why. But now, obviously, as I'm older, I recognize what it was. And I just fell in love with clothing. And because I'm not I can't paint or, draw or take a photo like the two of you for the life of me. So it was really my way of it was my creative expression. And I didn't know it at the time, but so it was kind of setting me up for it. And I just really liked experimenting with clothing. My grandmother was a wonderful influence on me as well. And I did the regular humdrum, like go to college, and I didn't think I could have a career in fashion because it was a hobby. So I did marketing. But when I moved to Los Angeles, I quit my marketing job, and I always thought anthropology was so fun, So I went in there and I got a job, and just, it was luck, really, a big part of it, but also just a drive, because I fell in love with the idea of like, I really liked their clothing, and it was eclectic and fun. And they asked me to start merchandising windows. They liked the way I dressed, and they liked the way I helped customers and style. So I started doing that, which definitely was really lucky, because they really, I kind of just stumbled into that. And when I left Los Angeles and moved back to Indianapolis, I knew that I had to involve myself in fashion somehow, because I had really gotten a taste of doing it on a more regular basis. And I just researched and researched because I needed to find my people, and I found Polina. I'm gonna cry. And Polina took me under her wing, and
I don't know about that.
you did. You gave me, gosh, I mean, but you gave me so much, and it was just, an opportunity to really start to learn and to connect with all the right people. And I was still doing marketing, but about, I would say maybe 6 years ago, I started styling as a part-time job. And then it must have been 4.5 years ago now, I just decided to launch Style Riot and take a leap and do it full time. And I literally haven't looked back. I love it so much. I love everything about it. And I think to myself, why didn't I just do this from the beginning when it was inside of me? But I just never thought that I could make it a career for myself. And I probably could have, but you know what? That's my path. That's how it was supposed to be. And I'm just happy that I took the plunge. So
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that like internally you have to get to a point. Entrepreneurship is so hard.
Yeah.
You know, it literally is a free fall in so many ways. And I think that the older you get, the harder it is to take that leap of faith because, you know, you get accustomed to a certain lifestyle and having a paycheck. And all of a sudden you're saying, nope, I'm just gonna like free fall. So kudos to you for doing that. I mean, I never had any doubt that you'd be totally fine and super successful, but who listens to me anyway?
Well, even if I didn't show it, I was listening because here I am.
And here you are.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have worked together on quite a few projects.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, you both did some really, really nice stuff for Indie Monthly.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there's like a kind of a whole rhythm to doing these self-assigned photo shoots, right? Esther and I have both talked a lot about doing self-assigned work with students and people who are interested in knowing how to get into print, how to get into fashion photography. And, you know, I'm curious to see, Esther, if you have a process, how do you approach it? I know that in this instance, the shoot that we're talking about, I believe Laura was the one that came with the concept.
Yes.
Although that's not always the case. Sometimes the photographer comes up with the concept, sometimes the stylist. So basically on this particular shoot, Laura approached you and said what?
Well, this shoot kind of came together because we both know the model, and we wanted to work with her. Her mom also like really wants her to get into doing more fashion editorial work.
Okay.
So we thought, okay, let's put together a shoot that fits this particular model because we had her in place first.
Okay.
And Laura, you can speak up too because you're the one that produced this whole thing.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it started with the model, and then we kind of moved back from that.
Okay. And is that typical? Do you guys normally start with models, or how does one get into a shoot?
I do not start with models because that is one of the most fluid pieces of the shoot. Mm-hmm. You can't really book a model until you have the date and you've got your concept together. Also, some agencies don't want to work with you until you have a concept or a date in mind.
Right.
So usually the model comes at the end.
Okay.
Same.
But not this time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I tend to be, I'm probably the worst person for this interview for advice for people because I am so all over the place. Polina and Esther know that well, to everybody watching.
You're actually very organized. Even though you say that often of yourself, you're very organized when like this kind of stuff comes together.
Thank you. I mean, there's certainly a method to my internal madness, but for me, it usually stems from an idea. Like that's what the very first thing, how it starts is, I literally saw LaCroix can the other day, the coconut flavor. It's delicious. And the color palette on the can is now a new concept I'm doing for a shoot. So
nice.
You know what I mean? So it's like it'll come from something, or, you know, so for me, it definitely, I can say this certainly, it does not typically start with the model.
Okay.
So pretty rare.
So let me share my screen with you guys, and let's talk about specifically this inspiration and concept. So big time ruffles. I know you love ruffles. So is this just you kind of bearing out your obsession with ruffles, or what?
Well, you know, Esther can attest to, sorry, Esther, mind if I just
go ahead.
Esther can attest to this. I just, there was something about, I will say in this specific shoot, we were starting with the model, right? Which is rare, but there was something about Ava I don't know if it's her she has such beautiful features. She's, there's a femininity to her that I really like, and I was really drawn to. And I also really like excess and, you know, styling on like a very large scale with volume. And, you know, obviously I have to edit myself sometimes because I can't do that for every shoot, but there was just something about that combination with the feminine quality of who she was that I just thought would be really fantastic. And so I started this Pinterest board, and I mean, it was full of Victor and Rolf, you know, just over the top, these big ruffles and lots of layers. And that's just kind of where it started for me, was just that mixture of the femininity and the big over the top.
Yeah.
And she's got legs for days too, which
Absolutely.
I love
I
it.
mean, so fabulous.
So for those that are looking at this going, why is this sideways? That's because it's supposed to be, you know, opened up like a pinup.
Like a centerfold.
Yeah, so this is the actual print version.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you're supposed to turn it this way to look at it. I love that. I think it's kind of fun, but
It's fun. And especially to the point of just like her legs and just like how she carries herself. It's very statuesque, and it's really neat when you turn the issue that way to look at it. That's
so
cool.
this dress that she's wearing, is that an actual dress, or did you guys just pin fabric on her?
Fabric. I like the idea of working with a lot of different materials for this too.
Sure.
I wanted to create something like the layering in this gown there's one skirt in there, isn't there, Esther? And then there's two skirts, and then the rest of it is just material. But I think
or three or four skirts. I mean, all of these outfits Laura came up with on set. So these are not outfits that you could buy individually at a store. It was just like she brought in the materials and then constructed this whole piece.
Amazing.
So it was a very creative shoot. And it actually went very quickly too.
So I know there's going to be some people that might watch this who will be like, okay, well, but where would you wear something like this?
everywhere, darling. Everywhere.
I mean, I'm thinking like Met Gala, right?
I wanted this to be couture-esque. I mean, I wanted this to be art.
Yeah.
So, you know, to me, this editorial is just about imagination and inspiration and letting your imagination run wild. And maybe if somebody wanted to take something from this to wear, they would maybe layer two tulle skirts, you know, to make it a bit more realistic for every day. But you could still wear this to the grocery store, and I would salute you.
That with a mask, right? Like that's
with a mask, yeah. And keep your distance. But.
Right. So, and that's an interesting point, because I think that people struggle with understanding fashion as an expression of self and also as an artistic expression, right? And I think that this is a really great example of, you know, not something that's ready to wear necessarily, that you pull off the rack and away you go to play tennis or something, but more as like an interpretation of texture and shape and, I don't know, color, size, volume. I mean, all those things are happening there.
Movement, volume always.
Okay.
I think it's too, it gives you know, it allows the eye to kind of take it all in, right? Like each layer and each piece, and really getting an understanding of its entire personality. You know, I feel like these are images, thanks to Esther's talented eye. I really think these are images that you can kind of devour for a period of time. It's not just a flip through, you know, and that's what I like about that.
And I think that, you know, Lindsay Hadley, who designed the spread and who wanted to give more room for these images, and that's why she spread them across the two spreads, precisely for that reason, right? Like these should almost be printed like, you know, huge life-size posters, and you can just get lost in it. No, I love it.
Lindsay did an amazing job.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks really spectacular.
Super fun.
Mm-hmm.
So what about this? Is this another skirt with a skirt underneath, or what is happening?
Actually, it is the bottom piece. The bottom piece. And this was my favorite outfit that Laura put together. It is 2 skirts and then like a dress. Just the color of a dress is at top, and like the rest of the dress is pinned behind her.
Oh wow!
But she had these little boy shorts on, and the pale skirt that's around her legs, just the length of it wasn't working.
Yeah.
And so like, let's just tuck the rest of the skirt up in her boy shorts and turn them into like bloomers.
Ah,
all Esther. Esther like saved the day. She did. Totally her concept. I love it. Yeah.
I love it. And I mean, good Lord, Ava's got such amazing legs.
Yes. And that right there shows like Laura and I's our dynamic, that we can suggest things to each other and the other one's like, oh yes, that will work or that won't work. And it's just, the collaboration there is just magic. I mean, if it weren't for the both of us, this shoot wouldn't have been what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that you guys are able to collaborate in this way, because I don't know, I do think it's kind of rare, like to find people who are creatively in tune so that like everybody contributes.
Yeah.
And it's like harmonious, right? I don't know. I feel like, what am I trying to say?
Well, I think you have to check. Something that I've certainly learned is it's really important when you're on a set to check your ego at the door.
Yes.
And I will 100% say that has been something that I've had to learn in a sense, because, and not just walking in being arrogant, but more understanding that people's ideas are not to discount the ones that you have. They're to help enhance and to help make the shoot the best it can possibly be, right? And when you're working with somebody who you respect and admire, as I do, Esther and Polina, you too, you know, I welcome those ideas because I know that Esther's there to help enhance the idea, right? And so when she said that, it was like, bring it on. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And that's not the only idea. I mean, she always has wonderful ideas for everything. So
that's my one for the year.
No, please. She's had lots of wonderful ideas for me as a stylist on the shoots that we've done together, and I welcome them because I respect and admire her talent and her friendship and her honesty. You know?
Yeah. I think that's the best. That's the best way to create. And it's hard to find people that you can work with consistently day in and day out where it's a pleasure like that. Do you guys, I mean, when you look for people to work with, what are some of the characteristics that you look for to ensure that you have not only the best possible product at the end of the shoot, but also an enjoyable shooting experience?
Go ahead, Esther.
Well, what I look for is their talent first. Can they, their talent and versatility, can they do hair and makeup for multiple different skin types or hair types? Because the models are the most fluid thing. So you do need someone that can work with African-American hair or darker skin or really pale skin.
Right.
And then secondly, I look for like personality. Do we get along well? Because these will be long days, and oftentimes we are both working for nothing but the end product. So can they like withstand an 8 to 10 hour day?
Sure.
And still have good spirits and still be excited about what they're doing?
Sure.
So those are like my major things that I look for.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you?
Talent first and foremost.
How do you gauge that? What do you look for all those girls who are dying to assist you on a shoot? What are the criteria?
Oh, for
Both of you guys, because I'm sure you both get hit up with people saying, can I be a fly on the wall? Can I assist? Can I watch? Can I, what separates, the folks that you ultimately decide to work with? Or if they come and work for you, what kind of things do you look for so that you invite them back to assist and to be part of it?
Well, I mean, for me, from an assistant standpoint, obviously competent and organized, and always they're excited and enthusiastic and passionate, and they're ready to work. I mean, I think a lot of times, reality TV paints a very specific picture of wardrobe styling and styling celebrities, which is amazing, but that's really hard work. And what I do is really hard work. It's not on that, scale in red carpet, but wardrobe styling is hard. As Esther said, it's really long days. So if I have an assistant who's ready to give it their all day, but aside from all of those obvious things, I have to tell you, one thing that I really look for are people who are authentic and do have a sense of style. And it may not be my style, it may not be the kind of style that the way I dress, but I'm looking for people with an idea. And people who I say, okay, well, the first time they help me, we're going to get to know each other, but this could evolve into them doing what Esther has done for me, offering ideas. And I look for that. I like people who are comfortable in their style skin.
Sure.
So.
And is that what you look for? Sorry, Esther, I'll get back to you because I know I totally derailed the original question, which is, when you're looking for collaborators, not necessarily assistants, but collaborators, you kind of gauge their level of talent. How do you, what are some of the criteria that you would use to, I guess, look at somebody's work and be like, oh, they got it, versus not quite there yet?
It's really, for me, it's kind of hard to answer that question because I just kind of like if I like what I see, if I sense that there's a really good taste level there, and I am very drawn to out of the box thinkers.
Okay.
I am more of an art. I don't know if I'm necessarily the most logical thinker. So when I see specifically like photography or people who I admire in the styling world, those who just really, break down boundaries and walls and who are willing to just kind of do something that might take a little while for the consumer to understand at first, but then once they sit with it, they get it. I like that kind of work.
Sure.
So that's what I'm drawn to.
Can you hear my bird screaming in the background?
No, but I am going to have a sip of my wine.
Birds. Well, I've got a dog snoring back behind me, so I'm surprised you can't hear that.
I can hear that ruckus. Okay, good.
Oh.
What about you, Esther, in terms of talent?
For talent, I like to see that they are posting about what they're working on, either on social media or they have a website. Either one. I mean, I'm not dedicated. You have to have a website for me to work with you. As long as you are working consistently and have that versatility. And I mean, that's for stylists, hair and makeup, those kinds of people. I want to see your work and kind of see that you have a vision throughout the work that you're posting. Not that you're doing some crazy avant-garde thing here and then doing something completely opposite here. I like to see that there's a vision or a concept overall.
Okay.
And then for assistants, I also like to see that you have tried to do some photography or have some knowledge, because that just eliminates a lot of questions for me while I'm trying to work. So if you have some knowledge of what you're doing, then I'm more likely to bring that person on set.
Sure. Okay. Let's talk about turnoffs. People you'll never work with if they do what?
I hate to say this, but if they're just constantly jabbering in my ear the entire day, that wears me out, and I cannot handle that.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, and people that are disrespectful to others in the team, those are two absolute no-nos for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good call. What about you, Laura?
I would say for me, non-communicative. Like if I write you, and Polina, you know, you taught me that. You know, you taught me a lot of things, but that's something that you really taught me. You did, like, get back to people. This industry is fast. It's fast moving, and you got to be on top of it. And so when I write somebody and it takes them forever to get back to me, or that, because I need efficiency because my brain's so all over the place and I've got so many boxes to check.
Yeah.
And I would just say, like, I cannot stand it when somebody comes on set and they don't have a work ethic. Like they're just kind of lollydaggling around. They're showing that they're tired, or they're, you know, it's like, if you're hungry and you want this, then you gotta show it. I certainly had to, and I'm still trying to do that for the people that I'm working for, you know. So
yeah, absolutely.
Work ethic is also a big one for me. I would absolutely agree with that.
Same.
You're not trying and you look just dead in the eyes, then I'm not going to bring you back.
Right. Yeah. or God forbid, you're like on your phone checking messages.
Yes.
Right. Like, I think the best assistants are the ones that are anticipating your needs. And Esther, you are the best assistant ever. I miss you so much.
I miss you too.
I mean, I would just turn around, and before I would even ask for the lens, she already had it ready to go. I was like, that's a person who's paying attention.
You're so right about that.
Working with somebody for a while as well. Probably won't do that right off the bat, but the fact that, like, you're paying attention and basically learning to extrapolate and see how the photographer works or the stylist works, that's key. That's key.
That is.
So.
Assisting on a shoot too, like, I think if you're a good assistant, my hope, and Esther, you and I have talked about this, like, I try hard. I don't know if I always succeed, but I try to mentor in the best way. I try and be open to ideas, and really, if they're a good assistant, I want them to get a good experience out of it, and I want them to learn. I want them to grow, and I want them truly to go on to do their own thing. I don't want them to be my assistant forever. Right. You know? And but the only way that that's going to happen is if you work hard, you know, and you're there to learn. So
yeah, absolutely. Let me go back to, because we have a couple more of these pics that we haven't looked at from your shoot. So is this just a close-up of the one where she's wearing the multi-layers, or is this something different?
Yeah, no, that's the same, and that's fabric. That's just, I think, fabric on the top. I think we tucked it into something. I was using all these different, you should have seen that pink dress with the ruffles. What she looked like in the back. It was like
the secrets of fashion photography, right? Never turn the model around, because God knows what's going on back there.
Oh my God, but we achieved it. But all of these took, I mean, wouldn't you agree, Esther? I mean, they took some time.
How long were you guys in the studio doing this?
This was maybe a 6 or 8 hour day. I mean, we've worked together so much now that it's kind of streamlined. But yeah, some of the outfits took like 20, 30 minutes to make. Would you say so?
Oh yeah. And Nikki Sutton, who obviously, Polina, you know, but if people don't, she's a really dear friend of ours, and she's been heavily involved in pattern and fashion in indie for a long time. And I asked her to come on set, and so she was definitely helped me a great deal, and even brought her own ideas to the table too, which I was really grateful for. Like that tiered dress would not have happened without Nikki, because it had to, we needed like 2 or 3 people working on it at a time. So
that's really great.
This dress, oh my God, I love, now this is just a fabulous dress. I can't.
Where is it from?
It is.
I can't read. I need my readers. I'm getting
That
old.
costs. The shoes, I know the shoes are Valentino. I know, I don't have my glasses.
Wait, hang on. I can
I'm
zoom
old.
in. Wait
Yeah.
a second. Can I do this?
I should have had my notes in front of me.
Cecile Bonson.
Yeah, that's from, I want to say that's from Farfetch. I think I purchased that off of, I can't remember, but yeah, it's a good one. And then Koss, the shirt underneath is Koss, and that's actually a really beautiful shirt that I took and I just crinkled it up.
Oh, nice.
And I created kind of this like really fun, cool collar with it, but
I love it.
yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I really liked this look. I love those Valentino shoes.
Fabulous.
Those were kind of the start of what I wanted. I started with those.
Okay.
Built on top of the shoes.
Yeah, the shoe is so important. I never used to appreciate that till actually I met Nikki, and she's such a shoe whore. And I could never understand it until there was one point where I got some really, really nice shoes, and it just kind of like my whole like the way I carried myself as a result of wearing them was really different. And it was like, I think in that moment where I was like, oh, okay, I think I get it.
It's so true. I think shoes make, and I really enjoyed the shoes for this shoot, actually.
These are fun. Look at these.
Aren't those great?
I love those.
Those little slip-on ones with the bows are my favorite from the shoot.
Oh, these ones?
So Victorian and over the top, and
yeah, you're right about she kind of reminded me, when we started styling, I didn't really have this concept like beforehand with the mood board and all the research and everything, but she kind of has this like court jester kind of like vibe to her. There's just something kind of like comical about it all that I just thought was really, really fun. And those shoes certainly, and the collar obviously speak to that.
It totally works. So, how much time do you allocate to shooting? I know that, like, Laura, you have a lot of irons in the fire. How do you divide your time? I mean, we know the sad reality is that it's hard to make a full-fledged career in wardrobe styling, fashion editorial styling in Indianapolis. So how do you, I guess, compensate for that fact? Or do you? Maybe you don't need to.
Oh gosh, no, I need to. Oh man. Are you kidding?
No, I don't. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think it's good you're bringing that up, because I also think, again, that's the misconception, and that it's all editorial and like, fabulous, fun, amazing clothes. And I think it's safe to say, even if you move to Paris or New York or London or, any of these places to become a wardrobe stylist, you're not going to be doing that kind of thing all the time.
Right.
Some people do, but the majority don't. I do commercial styling. I do production, commercials. I work with marketing agencies to do print, like pamphlets. Sorry, that's Gypsy. I do that kind of styling, which is, it's like very commercial, and it's very, I'm not going to say the word boring, because that's not fair. It's not art. It's more logistical kind of styling to ensure that the actor or the model or whoever is getting the message across that the client wants.
Sure.
And then I do personal styling and I do merchandising, which are all great in their own way. So
yeah, I mean, in a bigger market, each one of those would be a separate career, right?
Yeah.
In indie, you kind of have to be able to do all those things in order to make ends meet, which, well, you got to do what you got to do. And I mean,
I would have to say, I mean, Esther, you can speak to this as well. I mean, I would have, sorry.
it's okay.
I would have to say that I'm happy that I have that experience in all of those different avenues.
Sure.
I feel lucky that I can, when I'm really trying to sell myself or sell a concept or an idea to somebody, I feel like I can say I've done this and this and this and this, and I can tackle lots of different problems that might arise or situations or challenges because of that experience in those different realms.
Absolutely. I would agree with you there 100%. Doing these fun fashion shoots or these editorials often will play into my commercial work and will influence something in the commercial work that would maybe give me a little extra spice that someone else wouldn't have, because I've problem solved on a fun fashion shoot, and it just, yeah, it keeps everything fresh. That would be the main thing.
Yeah, I could totally see that. I think that makes a lot of sense, because that's the creative expression, right? Like that's the muscle, and that's the fun part. And you just wish it paid more, but for sure you can bring a lot of those lessons learned to a commercial shoot and kind of make a difference.
Yeah.
And not state about it.
Well, and making the money from all of those other shoots affords me the creative freedom to do the fun stuff.
Yes.
And every once in a while, the fun stuff comes along and I get paid for that too. And that's just like, the cherry on top, which is awesome,
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
So what are you guys working on right now? What's next? What's 2020 going to bring you other than quarantine?
Well, we are brainstorming a shoot together. Who knows when that will actually happen, but we're talking about doing another fun shoot. So something's happening. That's good.
yes. That actually, it's funny. 2020 was my goal to do more creative editorial work. I feel like I've been in the business now and like enough years where I feel like I can take a little bit of time away from the other and really focus on, like you said, my creative muscle. Because that takes practice too, right? Like editorial, I constantly need to keep working to get to, I'll never be as good as I'm always reaching to be better and better. And the only way to do that is to just keep doing it. So
absolutely. I was talking about this. I was talking with Katie and Jared.
Yeah.
On the Zoom call, and one of our cover models, Mirage, and I was just saying how tough that shoot was for me, because it'd been so long since I'd shot. And so I was like very not super confident. Like I just felt like I wasn't getting my lighting right. Like I wasn't really sure of my composition. It was like, I mean, by the time, 6 hours in, I was like, okay, all right, I think I'm back. But before that, I was like, yeah, I don't know. This could be a complete bust. So the practice part is super important.
And that doesn't show at all. I was just looking through the magazine before this, and I was like, this is a really fun shoot.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
I did an incredible job.
I had lots to work with. As a photographer, for me, I feel like I've always been one of those photographers that doesn't really pre-imagine as much as just really pick my team well, because I know that if I have the right model wearing the right clothes, I can probably figure out a way to make it work, which I know is not necessarily how other photographers approach it. But for me, it's always like, I'll find it the day off. At least that's what I try to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's way more magic in that, because you don't have a preconceived notion of how it's going to go, and then have like major disappointment when it doesn't end up that way.
So true.
So true.
Yes.
It never fails. So I haven't talked to anybody else on the call about this, but our next issue is going to be, we're calling it this, it's too generic, but we're going to try and come up with a different title, but it's going to be the fashion issue.
Okay.
Ooh,
Well, because I don't know if you guys remember. I mean, maybe you remember it differently from me, just from just like the stance of like where we're coming from. But Pattern was born to raise up and expose the local fashion industry.
Mm-hmm.
That was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
And, after the first probably 3 issues, we were like, well, we're kind of out of fashion people to talk about at this point, right? Let's go broader. Let's talk about other creatives. And that's been sort of the organization's evolution anyway, right? Like it was born out of fashion and the aesthetic is fashion, but ultimately we embraced the entire creative community of Indianapolis and Central Indiana. And so we have done, music issues and sports issues and maker issues, and we haven't done the fashion issue. So,
Right.
I don't know, maybe it feels right, especially if our launch does happen on Monument Circle, where we're going to do a fashion show.
Oh, I love that. As
part of the launch party on Monument Circle.
Wow.
I love that idea. Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
I love it, and I'm just a tiny little bit terrified. It's very intimidating.
Those are the best ideas.
There's so many ideas where I'm like, whose stupid idea was it? And everybody just looks at me and I'm like, oh, right. God, what? It has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited to try it. I've sworn off fashion shows. I think you guys have both heard me say that unless there are buyers in those seats, Pattern's never going to do a fashion show, but clearly we're, going against that idea. But to me, this will be like a one-time only scenario, right? Like it's just the opportunity and the timing, I suppose. So it makes sense to tie it in with an issue that specifically celebrates the fashion creatives.
I love it. Oh, Polina, that's really exciting.
Well, I'll want your ideas.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like you are much more entrenched with that than I am. I know that's weird to say, but I've been sewing masks and gowns. Well, not me personally, but not super fashionable. So my head's not in it, but.
Well, your role is like now my dog is barking. Sorry. I mean, your role and everything is just so much more, in a sense, like diverse, I mean, you're running a organization and a platform for people of all different creative mediums, and it's easier for us because we can just kind of focus on our
right.
Yeah.
Our one thing. So I give you a lot of credit for that because you're pretty in tune with almost at all different aspects of the creative world here in Indianapolis. So
I think I'm just good at tapping into people's ideas. Like, you talked a lot about ego and like how it doesn't really have a place in a creative setting because it is the coming together and the sharing of ideas between multiple creatives that leads to the best outcome. And that's kind of how I feel about the magazine as well. I fully recognize that my reach is not as deep and as broad as it needs to be, and that it's always good to get other people's input on what's happening and what's exciting. So I will definitely be looking to you guys for ideas for both, what kinds of stories we should do and who we should feature. And of course, hopefully you guys will cook up some really awesome shoot and submit it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're chatting.
Yes.
We're brainstorming.
Do you have any dates for submissions yet?
Yeah, what's the wink, what's the date?
Wait, hang on. Let me look at the calendar. I'm sure. So, okay, the party is September 25th, which means that everything is going to have to go to print.
Probably forget.
At the latest.
I already forgot. September 25th, you said?
Yep. September 25th is the event. Oh, sorry. Oops. 26th. Saturday. 26th. So that means The issue is going to go to print probably the 24th of August, maybe sooner. No, actually 17th. My bad. It's already on my calendar. Wait a second. Wait. Okay, July 1st. That's the deadline.
All right.
So there you go. You got
There we go.
May, June. Ooh, only 8 weeks. Oh my God. Where's the time going? I don't understand.
Yeah, this is terrifying.
So terrifying.
It really is. I mean, that's like not that far away. July 1st is the submission. Okay.
Well, that was a little reality check for me. I was kind of brainstorming some ideas for the next issue. And I was like, oh, look at me starting early.
Well, everything's kind of behind, right? I mean,
yeah,
I've passed 2 shoots 3 that I was supposed to have. It's just a weird time, like not even having that, like, prep time or anything like that. You're just kind of seeing it on your calendar and you're like, oh, there, bye.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there goes another paycheck.
I know.
Yeah, well, you guys, I hope you can figure it out.
Yeah.
I can babysit Esther if need be.
I know. It's like there's going to be a baby on set for sure.
I know. I was like, July 1st. You might be a little busy right by then.
That's right. Mark can come in and, man bottles and whatnot.
It's true. Actually, he will be on paternity leave, so.
Boom!
It's perfect.
It's perfect. Okay.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah, now the pressure's on. Now you guys are on record so that I can, like, if it doesn't happen, I can just post this and malign both of you.
Well, I give Lindsay a lot of credit because after this quarantine happened, she set up a Zoom call and she was like, let's stay on schedule. And we had a Zoom call and everything.
Uh-huh.
So she was keeping us in check, which
Excellent.
I appreciate.
Well, that's good. That's good. I love it. Well, thank you guys. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I think this has been great. Congrats again on the editorial. It looks amazing. I am really, honored to call you guys friends and to have access to your creativity and your support for Pattern and for me personally. And, it's great to chat. I wish that circumstances were a little bit different in terms of where we are right now, but I feel like we're maybe kind of heading over the hump. Probably shouldn't say that. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, yeah. I hope so.
Super bummed that your party didn't happen, your big birthday party. That's just...
Oh.
I know. But you know what, though? It was the best day. I really did have the best birthday ever. So
that's good.
When you have a birthday during quarantine, what's kind of nice is instead of like throwing yourself a big party where you kind of see people and you're floating through, it's more personal.
Yeah.
Each person is like coming to you and saying happy birthday and you're talking, and it's kind of nice to just have that personal connection with each person. So
that's cool.
And I'm healthy. And my family and friends are healthy. What more can you ask for, really?
Amen, sister.
Hey, Polina, thank you, though. And thank you to Pattern and all your hard work and all that you guys, your whole team does. It's a beautiful issue.
Thank you.
I'm proud to have our work in it. So thank you.
No. Thank you.
No. Thank you.
Thank you.
No.
Well, okay. I will see you guys soon, I'm sure.
Yes.
I hope so.
You got anything else to add to this? Wait. I know what. Where do people follow you? Share your socials.
Oh, go ahead, Esther.
Boston Photo is my Instagram.
Okay.
And you can just search me, Esther Boston Photography, and everything else should pop up.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I am _style riot. I have not posted in over a week. I'm so bad. I know. God, I'm so bad.
Shameful.
Oh, and I have a newsletter. Please subscribe to it. It's called The Riot. Link in the bio.
Very nice. And it's a fun newsletter.
Yeah.
I love the stuff that you share in there. You spend a
Oh,
lot of
thanks.
time and energy putting it together. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. Well, thank you, ladies.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you, Polina.
Bye.
Love you, Esther.
Bye. Bye, Laura.